Okay, so this is the first day we're doing a video. We're on page, I don't even have page numbers. We're on 1-1. My book doesn't have page numbers, that could be an issue. Anyways, PEMDAS goes. This is PEMDAS, your little chart you see here. We do parentheses first, all operations in parentheses. So we might want to add that. All operations. All operations. And when we do those all operations, we follow PEMDAS. Okay? And you'll see more of that. Once we have done everything in the parentheses following PEMDAS, we do our exponents. I put the 2 in the square because that is the exponent. Okay? When we square something, we multiply it times itself. So 6 squared is like 6 times 6. Then we multiply and divide left to right. So that's why I put the arrow from the left to the right. So multiply left to right as we come to them. So if we come to division first, we divide first. If we come to multiplication first, we multiply first. That also is the rule for add and subtract. If you come to subtraction first, you subtract first. If you come to addition first, you add first. Okay? So this box over here to the right is going to be our workspace because my iPad's not erasing. So here we have example 1, and it's 27 minus 18 divided by 6. Okay? So there are no parentheses. There are no exponents. So I'm going to multiply and divide. There is division right here. So that's going to be my first step. I'm going to bring down the 27. I'm going to bring down my minus sign, and then I'm going to do 18 divided by 6 and get 3. Now all I have to do is 27 minus 3. And when I do that, I get 24. That is my answer. Okay, the next one says this. 36 minus 8 divided by 2 times 3, that dot means times, plus 8. Okay, again, I have no parentheses, no exponents. However, I do have multiplication and division, but remember we do them left to right as we come to them. So I come to division first, so I'm going to divide first. So I put a box around those two terms that I'm going to divide. I want to see your boxes. So we have 36 minus 8 divided by 2 is 4 times 3 plus 8. Okay? Now I have multiplication, so I'm going to put a box around the two terms I'm multiplying. So I end up with 36, bring my minus sign down, 4 times 3 is 12, plus 8. Now I'm done with all my multiplication and division, so now I go to adding and subtracting. Remember, it's left to right as you come to them. We come to subtraction first. 36 minus 12 is 24, plus 8. That's our last operation we can do, and 24 plus 8 equals 32. So that's my answer. Okay, this one doesn't have parentheses, but it has exponents. So I'm going to box the one with the term with the exponent. Remember, 6 squared is like saying 6 times 6, and that equals 36. So I bring down 5 plus 36 times 10. Now I don't have any more exponents. However, I do have multiplication from my multiply and divide step. 36 times 10. So I bring the 5 down, and then 36 times 10 is 360. You could use a calculator for that if you want. And then I only have one more operation left, so I know that's the only thing I can do, and I get 365. All right? All right, these next few are going to have parentheses in them. All right? So we do have parentheses, so that's our first thing. So we're going to put a box around our parentheses. So I'm going to bring the 36 down, minus 6 times 2, which is 12. And actually, once you have done the operation that's in the parentheses, you can remove the parentheses. So I can just put minus 12 divided by 3. Now we're looking, we don't have any more multiplication, but we do have division. So we need to go ahead and box our division. The terms we're going to divide, we bring our 36 down, minus 12 divided by 3, which is 4. And at this point, all we have is these two terms left to subtract. So we get 32. This one looks a bit tricky. First thing we got to do is we got to look in the parentheses, and remember at the beginning I said we have to follow the order of operations in the parentheses. So I have three terms, 4 plus 12 divided by 4. The first thing, do I have exponents in those parentheses? Nope. Do I have multiplication or division? Sure do, right here. So I'm going to bring down my parentheses and do 4 plus 12 divided by 4 is 3 minus 2 cubed. Okay? And then these square parentheses are called brackets, okay? So you want to work in the parentheses first and then in the brackets. So now I still have parentheses. Oops. So I boxed that and I have 4 plus 3. So I bring my bracket down. 4 plus 3 is 7, and that's my last operation in the parentheses, so I can remove them. Minus 2 in bracket cubed. Now brackets would be our next step. They're like our next set of parentheses. So I need to do what's in the brackets next. Okay? And 7 minus 2 is 5, and then that is what I'm going to cube. 5 cubed is like saying 5 times 5 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25. Times 5 is 125. Okay? So this is example 3 out of the book. Maria works part-time in a law office where she earns $20 per hour. The table, which is in your book, I didn't copy it, shows the number of hours she worked last week. Simplify the expression 6 plus 5 times 3 times 20. Those little asterisks are like a time sign to find out how much money Maria earned last week. So we are going to use 6 plus 5 times 3 times 20. And we need to follow the order of operations here. The first thing is we need to look in the parentheses. We don't have any exponents, but we have multiply. So we're going to box those up. And we're going to do 6 times 15, or 5 times 3, which is 15. Sorry about that. Times 20. Now notice how I didn't take the parentheses off because there are still operations in the parentheses. Because this addition is in the parentheses, we must do it first before we multiply. So 6 plus 15 is 21 times 20, and now we're at one operation left, so we can multiply that and we get $420. Okay? And now if you want to at this point, you can go to Canvas. If you're like, we learned this in 6th grade, I needed a review, but that was enough. You can go to Canvas and you can get the problems. However, if you're like, I kind of could use a few more examples of this, we've only been watching the movie for 9.5 minutes, I'm going to do a few more questions out of your book in the guided practice. So you can watch if you want. You don't have to. So this is number 5. I like doing the ones with exponents because those ones are a little bit more difficult for some kids to understand. The first thing we're going to look at is the parentheses, and we're going to follow the order of operations. We have exponents in the parentheses, so I'm going to box that term. 3 squared is 9, because 3 squared is like saying 3 times 3, and that equals 9, plus 11 divided by 5. And again, I didn't take those parentheses off because I still have stuff to do in the parentheses. So the next thing we're going to do is the only operation in the parentheses left, 9 plus 11, which is 20. Since that takes care of all operations in the parentheses, I can remove the parentheses. 20 divided by 5 is 4, and that is my answer. Okay, this one's going to be a little bit more difficult of a problem. So, we have exponents and we have parentheses, okay? The first thing we have to do, though, is we have to do the operations within the parentheses. One at a time. Do not try and do multiple steps at one time. So the first one we're going to do is 8 minus 2, and that is 6. And I'm going to leave that in parentheses because I still have to square it. Times 8 minus 1 squared divided by 3. Now we have another set of parentheses, and we have 8 minus 1. So I still have 6 squared times 8 minus 1 is 7 squared divided by 3. Now my next step is to do the exponents. So 6 squared is like saying 6 times 6, and we get 36 times 7 squared divided by 3. Now I need to do the 7 squared, which is like saying 7 times 7. So we get 36 times 49, because 7 times 7 is 49, divided by 3. And then we have to multiply and divide left to right as we come to them. We come to division first. That is a big number that I don't want to work in my head, so we're going to get a calculator out and we're going to do that real fast. 36 times 49 is 1,764 divided by 3. And then at this point we have one thing left to do, so we can divide it by that big number by 3 and get 588. And that will probably be as difficult as problems as you get in your book, because you're in 7th grade. We're going to do one of these because you have some of these like that look like this. This box is for a greater than, less than, or equal to sign. So what you're doing is you're comparing the two sides, which means we're going to work out with the order of operations on both sides to see which one's bigger or if they're equal. So we're going to start with the left first. The left has some parentheses. 6 plus 10 is 16. And that takes care of all the operations, so we can take the parentheses off. Divided by 2. Only have one operation here. 16 divided by 2 is 8. And then we look to the other side. We don't have any parentheses, no exponents. However, we do have division. So we square the two terms we're going to divide. And we have 6 plus 5. And now we only have two terms left with one operation. So 6 plus 5 is 11. And 11 is greater. So you would have 8 is less than 11 for your answer. So that's how you do any of the problems 25 through 30. If you were assigned those, which I think you were, that's how you would do them. We also have number 32 on here, which is another one that looks like it could be a little bit of trouble. These problems, they give you 5 plus 9 minus 3 divided by 2 equals 8. And what you want to do is you want to put the parentheses in the correct place to make the left side equal 8. So here's how we would do this. I would just throw parentheses around the first two terms and work it out. 5 plus 9 is 14 minus 3 divided by 2. you already know that 3 divided by 2 isn't going to happen, okay? So you can think, okay, that's not going to work because 3 divided by 2 is not going to work. I'm going to rewrite that out. So then you can go to the next two, put parentheses around them, and you'd get 5 plus 9 minus 3 is 6 divided by 2. Well, 6 divided by 2 works, right? You can divide those. So you can look at these and be like, okay, that's the next step, division. 5 plus 3 equals 8. 8 equals 8. And those check out. So that is where you would want your parentheses. That is how you would do 31, 33, and 35 if you have to do them. And I will give you a clue on 35. You have to put the parentheses around 3 terms. So it's just not like 9 minus 3. It's like 3 plus 2 minus 1. That's what I mean by 3 terms. So if you watch this whole thing, you got some instruction on how to do the rest of the problems that maybe weren't in the examples. So good luck. Look on Canvas, see what you got to do.